Okay, this is a meeting of the Environment Committee on the 17th of January 2017. I think I have to remind everybody that this is being recorded and might be broadcast. So, first item, apologies. Councillor Chichester-Miles phoned me up and said he'd got to go to a scrutiny meeting at District starting at 7 o'clock, but he's only there for one item. I expect his portfolio and he hopes to be here fairly soon. So if we could go a minute on that.
Yes, Chair.
Okay. Have we had any other apologies?
None received, Chair.
None received. Okay. Right, any declarations of interest? No? No? Thank you. Chairman's report on urgent items. I don't think I've got anything. Not any urgent items. Okay. Public questions in accordance with Standing Order 64.
None received in advance, Chair.
Thank you. Right, takes on to item 5, the minutes of the last meeting held on 16th of November 2016. Can I sign those? They've all been circulated, so I assume everybody, I've received no comments at all, so can I sign those as in for record?
Yes.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Please. Thank you.
Okay. Right, so now we're on to 6.1, which is the action tracker. So I think we've got the latest on there, which is the 17th, maybe today. So we've got that permission in place, the trees can be removed, and we've got the mitigation. All the club has received what we require as a mitigation. Okay, so I assume they're just going to crack on with it today.
Yes, as far as I'm aware, Chair.
Any comments on that? No?
Do you notice, Chair, that it's recommended to review? Is everyone happy with that recommendation? I recommend to remove, I should say, sorry.
To remove from yes. To remove from this one, simply because it's tracking.
Yes.
And so therefore we'll have it on the reported elsewhere.
Oh, well, as far as the Town Council is concerned, the actions have been undertaken by the Town Council, so... We're
done, basically.
Yes.
Except just checking that it's been done.
Yes.
Okay, are we right to remove that from the tracker?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So item 2, the Lower Leaking Road grassland trial. Everybody got any comments on that? I think we agreed we were going to put up signs and organise a meeting to brief the local community as to what's happening with the grassland trial. Let's just track it along, isn't it?
Yes, Chair.
What's agreed? Okay, Matt? Okay, extension of the East Common Orchard. Success. I've reported that was a quick scrutiny meeting.
I stayed for the item I needed to,
Okay.
and I had a more important place to be.
Okay, understood. Okay, we're just on the action tracker at page 8. Okay. So, fine. So that's moving along. I don't think there's anything further to say. Anybody got any comments on that? Okay. Right. Extension of East Common Orchard. This looks very similar to what we did at the community retreat on exactly where it was. It's on Oban Close on Cross Farm Estate, yeah. Which where I remember planting some of these trees during my time as mayor. And I think it went quite well, didn't it? And there's a chap who's an expert on Hertfordshire apple tree varieties, isn't there? And he's written a rather nice book on the subject. So I think we're kind of following some of his advice, aren't we?
We are, yes. He's subsequently moved to the southwest, so we found another apple expert.
Okay.
Who's been advising us, and as the update says, we've identified that 6 native apple trees will be planted in November, which is the optimum tree planting season. Obviously the which would be planted by the volunteers, with residents being invited to participate in the work. And they'll be advised at all stages of the project on the development and the ongoing management of the site as well.
Good. Okay, we're all okay with that? Right. Now the chalk stream, following a recommendation to remove. We okay with that? Next one, chalk stream restoration at Backford Springs. I think, from what I recall, the difficulty was that some of the springs are blocked up, aren't they? They did one, was it one or two successfully?
One, very successfully.
Managed to get one clear, but it looks as though there's going to be some difficulty with the others, harder than expected. So that's where we were in November, just to recap.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
This could sound like a bad apple. May I have the Wi-Fi password?
HARP 01582.
Thanks very much.
Okay, just to recap then, the difficulty was that some of the others were worse than expected in simple terms. Okay, so the idea was we sent the mayor sent a letter for the grant application to Affinity Water by the volunteers. Do we know what's happened on that?
I understand from talking to the Herts and Middlesex Wildlife Trust that there could be a long wait to find out the results. It's something to do with a pollution spill further up the river that Thames Affinity Water has to pay compensation for, but it could take a while to find out whether we've been successful in grants being received. So we're going to do a piece of work and bring it to a future committee meeting about other grants that may be applied for.
Okay. And then we've got to work out essentially what it's going to cost and whether it's worth reboring the other springs.
It could be part of a larger plan, part of the management plan. We'll be drawing up a management plan for Backford Springs and
the totality.
The totality, yes.
Okay.
There is already one in place, but we're going to refresh it.
Okay. All right. Any comments on that?
Can't we move on till we've got some costings?
Not really.
No.
Right, the cash market. Okay, so we've got a report as to whether it's, I suppose, worth doing, coming to council on the 30th.
I understand, Chair, it's part of a larger report about the town council's events and things that are organised through the town council, and also events that town council support the community in organising as well. So it's part of a larger report.
Events plan.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So in the light of that report being submitted, we don't need a separate item on here. That's the recommendation to remove. Okay. Are you all right with that? Okay. Forward planner. I think we just deleted some of the items that we've agreed to or completed or being dealt with in another way. So that's the next 3 or 4 months. I think that picks up everything I can think of.
There's a new item on there, Chair, on the 15th of March about the golf club.
Okay, yes.
We agreed that it would be a good idea if someone from the golf club came to present a
Yeah,
message.
sure. No, that's a good idea. Okay, so comments on that? Right, on to the first of the official reports. Biodiversity policy and statement. So the essence of this is that as we're applying for the local council award scheme gold standard, we have to comply with the requirement to consider all actions regarding the crime disorder act in the council's biodiversity policy statement. So in essence that's it. Okay, does anybody have any comments on the policy statement, which is on page 14?
Yeah, can I just ask about page 14?
Yep.
Obviously this is about the biodiversity statement. So it's got the actions here that Harpenden Town Council planning committees will consider sustainability, environmental impact and biodiversity when commenting on planning applications. So obviously that concerns myself being on the planning committee. So I'm a little bit confused as to how that will work. There's no financial implications, and I'm not sure how councillors will be able to consider those options without some training, or whether this is something that officers are going to highlight to councillors. So I'm not really sure how we can just adopt a policy, almost tick it off of the checklist to say we've adopted it, and yet not implement some further actions to follow that through.
Well, I suppose the first question has got to be, is biodiversity, etc., is that a material planning consideration? As far as I know, the answer is no. I mean, it does refer, there are things in the NPPF, aren't there, relating to,
I was going to say, I think it's one of those, statements that, because it's so brief, otherwise you're writing a novel, it sort of rather shortcuts it, because my understanding at the moment in planning is that, let's say an application to extend your house, it wouldn't normally come into play, but it would if you're looking at any sort of planning application that would affect somewhere where there could be issues. So that, for instance, if there was a planning application relating to the common, for instance, this would kick into play.
Yes.
Or certain sites which might be for some reason have an effect, and I suppose that's also somewhere where Arts and also Wildlife Trust. But my assumption, and it could be a very bold assumption, is that it will only kick in when you're looking at sites when for some specific reason it would apply, but not on a... so for instance, it might do as well if you were, I think it's something that would be looked at if you had a large scale development, but I don't think it would if you were looking at, say, a house extension normally.
No,
unless... And if it did, it probably would, if you like, it would do so already, because it would already be caught up under policies. I mean, for instance, if, say, they have bats or something.
Yeah. I think the NPPF principles, from what I can recall, were really targeted at sort of, areas of outstanding natural beauty, or, sea flats where birds migrate, the migration stops point, or things of that like, it's not really relating. I wouldn't have thought it would affect most of the applications that we look at. That's my view at this point. We could perhaps get some advice from SADC planning.
Maybe see if the wording needs to be tweaked slightly so that you must have the impression you have to look at it for every single application.
I wouldn't think that that's something that councillors would be looking at, in planning meetings particularly.
Yeah.
but it says planning committee.
It does.
When commenting on planning applications.
Okay.
Probably needs to look into whether that needs to be refined, because I don't think it would apply. I think it needs to sort of specify. I don't think it would apply to every single planning application. I think it would only be in certain circumstances that probably needs to be related back to the NPPF or whatever. Yeah.
Okay. What about the other 2 points?
Well, also, you could argue on the bottom line there, the council will help to raise awareness of environmental issues and promote conservation projects in conjunction with appropriate bodies. You know, there will be a cost associated with that. How will it be achieved?
Possibly. Although we're already doing a fair amount of that, aren't we, with the Bradford Springs volunteers, for example, and
The
common management.
I think we are already adhering to the last action through our best practice, and this is just formalising it and acknowledging in a statement that will be adopted by the Environment Committee and Town Council that we are doing these things.
Yeah.
And so it's acknowledging that this is what we're doing, and we've actually put it in writing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe we can deal with this by saying when planning committees will consider sustainable environmental impact and biodiversity where applicable.
Yeah.
When commenting on planning applications.
Yeah.
That still suggests that committee members are knowledgeable and
Well, we'll have to, what we
or
have.
it would have to be flagged up by officers.
Yeah. As I say, I think you're right that the great majority of the applications that we look at, it won't apply.
But I mean, I can think there have been occasions when it would apply.
Yes.
I mean, things like
Yeah.
the cricket club on the
Sure.
common or something. Yes, so there
Sure,
have been occasions.
So where applicable.
Yes, where applicable.
But I take on board
Yeah.
Councillor Martin's comments,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
think that needs to be fed back to
Yeah.
Yeah.
officers and see if there's something to be done there.
Thank you.
Okay. Yep.
It also probably needs to say, yes, maybe look at what the policies are anyway, because it actually relates back to planning policies, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, if it's not a material
Yeah.
planning consideration, that's it.
It's not for us to consider.
That's it. Okay. Need to tighten this up a bit. Okay. So fine. Thank you for that.
Thank you. So you're happy to go with the resolution, the recommendation, Chair?
The committee is asked to consider the proposed policy statement and resolve to recommend it be adopted by the Town Council with that
With that
alteration.
alteration.
Yeah. That's what the alteration, yeah, that's fine.
Everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Okay, next one. Progress report for the close storage depot. This is this very small former allotment site which is being developed as a storage area for tools, vehicles, etc. And the basic problem is we've got a storage area sort of out here which is too small and not very satisfactory.
And we're renting storage elsewhere in the town.
Yes. And we've been looking at the possibility of developing a depot along this line for some considerable time.
I think it can be used to store other things, for instance, Christmas lights, I think.
Yes.
Is good on there.
And that as well, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yes. So, okay. So you've got a question
I've got a question.
on
Yeah.
3.3.
3.3, I'm just wondering, because it's saying the site is currently still registered as an allotment site. Are we taking what steps are we taking to get it deregistered? Because I don't think you can just say it's no longer an allotment, can you? You have to get permission, Secretary of State permission.
That's actually, it's not actually, it's recognised by the planning authority as being an allotment. It's not a registered allotment, though.
Okay.
That is a misnomer. We will have to apply for planning permission, though, for change of use.
Yes. Oh, that's all right, yes, yes, that's fine, because we've been registered, and obviously we don't.
Not a statutory allotment.
That's fine, that's all I wanted to ascertain.
Mhm.
Okay, that's good to clarify that.
Yes, can I just, obviously the original idea for the depot, as it's outlined, is the need for storage of equipment, vehicles, that kind of thing. Obviously I know it says on 3.10, the desirable criteria also includes workshop facilities, maintaining equipment and machinery, and then obviously electricity, toilets, mess room heating, etc., etc. I'm getting a bit concerned that this is moving away from being just a depot for storage and obviously becoming much more than that. And I'm just wondering if the budget of 100,000 will start getting away from us quite quickly, because these things really do not come cheaply. But not only that, the ongoing costs, if we've got so many, if it's being used for other facilities in the future, I don't know who we've got qualified to maintain equipment and things like that. What sort of things will be happening at the workshop? But I'm just wondering if I know it's good to have a wish list and look ahead into the future perhaps, but being at the council are struggling to precepts, etc. I would be a little bit dubious about just adding more and more things to the wish list.
It's a fair comment, but it should be noted that they are desirable. We are quite acknowledge the fact that the budget is £100,000, and we're working within that budget. And if that's not feasible we're not looking at a big workshop. We don't have very large pieces of equipment to maintain, but there are sort of small maintenance, like stripping down of engines, the stringers, and things like that. That we do undertake within our limited facilities. So if possible, a little workshop facility would be desirable, but we're quite acknowledge the fact that if it's not within the budget, then it won't happen.
Okay, thank you.
In a workshop facility could just be a bench, couldn't it?
Yes.
Potentially, devices, stuff like that. Okay. We've got the plan, project plan and all the rest of it.
Actually, it's a matter of logic, what I'm supposed to do on batteries. If essential criteria includes lighting, outside and inside, by definition you're going to need electricity, aren't you?
Yeah.
Batteries.
Okay. Any other comments on that? Or can we move to the recommendation, which is noting the progress and agreeing the project schedule? Okay, from December 12th. Seems quite reasonable. Go to tender, the usual stuff. Any other comments? Or can we just like that? Okay. Thank you. Next one. Update on the common management plan. So we've done this in conjunction with the Harpenden Middlesex Wildlife Trust. So just take us through the main points.
Yes, Chair. Officers considered it was useful and important to report back to the Environment Committee how we were adhering to the management plan set out for the Common. The report goes to know what actions have been undertaken so far. So, for example, the strip around the borders of the meadows were left for invertebrates and what have you to crawl out when the grass was cut, and they are now going to be cut on a rotational basis. You'll see that we've been very busy with volunteer days. 12 project days have been organised or have taken place and are going to be taken through to March 2017, with lots of fantastic work undertaken with shrub clearance, obviously the head of restoration project as well, and we've recruited 12 new volunteers. South Down Pond, there's been significant pond clearance carried out with a lot of phragmites removed. The floating, the island has been re-anchored.
What are they, sorry? Phragmites.
I understand, and I'm sure Councillor Martin will correct me, it's a aquatic plant.
Okay.
That it tends to be a bit spread.
So is it a rather sluggish aquatic plant?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
The island has been re-anchored very successfully, much to the ducks' delight. Then obviously the reeds are going to be cut in rotation as per the management plan. We've been very proactive with our bat and butterfly monitoring. This year we've joined in with a bat conservation trust to do some bat monitoring.
Okay.
Which has been very successful, going out at dusk which in the middle of the summer can be 9:30 in the evening, to monitor. And you'll note that during the survey, 3 of the 4 notable bat species were recorded on site, which I think is tremendous.
So it's just a little thing, I'm just thinking, this is really confusing. We've titled it Bat and Butterfly Monitoring that I've got heather restoration. At the bottom of the page,
Button, butterfly.
21.
Oh, yes.
And it's heather restoration.
Oh, yes.
So I was just thinking, what on earth are you reading? And that's on the...
So that should read. That should read.
This title.
That
Right.
should read.
Yes.
Right, okay, moving on. That's okay, that's all right. Community engagement, a part of our relationship with Harpenden Town Council Trust. You will recall at a previous meeting a series of family-friendly events were agreed, and there's a list of the things that have been undertaken, and there's been a total of 584 engagements, i.e. people that have taken part in these things and enjoyed the common and all it has to offer.
So it's obviously quite a considerable effort, which is good. That's very good. I've just another technical question on Heath and Meadows. It's to create ecotones between habitats. What's that?
I don't know, Chair, but I can report back to you.
Okay.
I believe it's the gradual change in habitat, so it isn't sort of, black and white, so to speak. It's a sort of more natural fade. Yes.
Yes. Or sort of you have on the edge of when you have on the edge of the common, so it sort of merges. Yes, when it merges in. Yes.
Are you happy with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
I just thought particularly looking at Lidecker Friends of the group, when it refers to an open meeting in 2017 and a meeting in 2016 and 2017.
You're on the next item.
Yes. Oh, sorry, have I jumped ahead of myself? Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm
We'll come to that in a minute.
I've got ahead of myself.
Come to that in a minute. Okay, any other comments on this, or can we just note the update?
I've got ahead of myself, yes.
Thank you.
No.
Are you okay with noting
Yeah.
that? Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Lidecker or Lidecker as it's known to some.
I jumped a page.
Other management plan.
You will recall that this was presented to the committee this time last year. We were not successful in being awarded the green flag. There was a lot of work that has been acknowledged by the judges, but they made some recommendations, and this revised management plan incorporates those recommendations.
I was going to ask before I sort of jumped ahead of myself.
Your point anyway.
Now, I was just wondering, because when you look at sort of the Lidecker Friends group, it says in 2016 the appetite for setting up Friends of groups will be explored, and then refers to an open meeting will be held in December 2016 and if sufficient support, a meeting will be held in January 2017. And I was just wondering if somewhere there was going to be put in a sort of update around those dates.
Which page is that, please?
That's page 44 of the agenda and page 20 of the report.
Update page 20 is accurate.
Oh, page 44, yeah.
Because as you are aware, the meeting was held very successful, 15
Yes.
people
Yes.
engaged, and another meeting has been scheduled for January.
Yes, and then I think similarly on page 33, could update that as well, where it says establishing a friends.
Thank you.
A friend, actually I think it's establishing a friends group, probably a county or friends on my deck. So they friends of group, page 33.
Any other points anybody would like to raise? People doing exercising on the common, haven't they?
Oh,
There's a few examples of that.
yes, we don't allow exercises on common, but we do in certain areas.
Under licence.
Yeah, under licence.
Okay, everybody finish reading that? No further comments? Okay, can we just, well, we have commented on the draft management plan and agree a final version for submission in support of the green flag application. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Next one. Harpenden in Bloom plants and schemes. Right, so the working party is not for it. Do you know why that was? Was it just lack of members, or?
There are 3 councillors that are members of the working party, and only 2 are able to.
We've had a meeting since. I thought, okay, I'll double check on that.
Okay, all right, so because of that then it's got to come to us to approve. Okay.
Basically, it's in hot colours, in red and yellow with mixed, and the planting that should be sustainable throughout the summer.
Okay. If there's anything, is there anything you'd like to draw our attention to particularly?
I think it should look rather good, actually. I think it'll be nice and eye-catching. And I think the other thing, perhaps just to draw attention to, is on the there are some recommended small changes to some of the some of the beds. And that is purely driven by the practical consideration. There are a small number that don't do particularly well at the moment for simple reason they're in shade. So the changes are purely to take out and mulch the beds that's very much in shade, and to have some that they should balance out. But that's purely for practical reasons, because it's a bit daffy having beds that are significantly in shade.
And the changes will be cost neutral.
Yes, and they'll be cost neutral.
Dan, did you have a...
No.
You're okay. Okay.
Can I bring the committee's attention to item 5.1 on the report,
Yeah.
the competition to be organised It's been suggested that we remove the wildlife photography competition from Harpenden in Bloom and give that, put that within the new education officer's remit, because we think of the wildlife photography competition, it fits in better with that side of which he's working on at the moment, and also we can then open it out not just to the under 11s but to a wider field.
So will there be so the intention is there will be a photography competition for the schools, including a wildlife category? Or
there will be a photography competition.
Yes.
Obviously we haven't sorted it out, but it won't be a Harpenden in Bloom photography competition. It will be taken forward by someone else.
No, that's not what I meant. That's fine. Sorry. No, what I meant is whoever's taking it else is forward, but presumably there will be a series of categories. They're presumably thinking of having a photography competition for schools, in which this will be one of the categories. Is that what we're saying?
It could be, yes. It hasn't been finalised yet, but yes.
Because I'm not sure how we can... I have no objection to taking it out if it's being replaced somewhere else, but it's not quite... Seems to be vague about whether it is going to be somewhere else or not.
Yes, it will be.
It will definitely be.
It will definitely be somewhere else, yes.
Okay.
That basis, that's okay.
Thanks.
Has anybody noticed that the next year is the Queen's Sapphire year?
Oh.
And in November they are married 70 years, which apparently is the Sapphire one.
Yes, next year, 74, 78, isn't it? Yeah.
So I think probably for the winter, if we could have some blue planting put in.
So it might be challenging in the winter. It might have to be in the summer, spring. Spring, yes.
Because you've got the summer one all organised, haven't you?
Spring bulbs.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Good thought. Okay.
Yes, that's good. Yes, we know 1948. Yes, 1948 was that?
Yeah,
Yes.
probably. Yeah, it's 70 years
It
this
is,
year.
yes. Oh, is it this year or next year? That's what I'm saying. Is it this year or next year?
Hmm?
Is it this year or next year?
This year
This
in
year.
November.
November this year. Okay.
Okay. Very long time.
It certainly is.
Okay. So are we all right then with the recommendations 2.1.1 to 2.1.5? Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, officer's report, Harpenden and Bloom review of project. I think this is part of the overall review taken, the incoming new town clerk obviously wanted to find out what was happening, how staff were deployed, how various tasks that we do here are deployed. I think this is coming out of that. So we changed the meeting schedule as proposed, and to agree the competition categories, including the deletion of the wild.
So presumably that one has to be deleted, yeah.
Yeah.
I think reading the report, and I mean I know at the moment some of this is there's no decision and some of it's being looked at. I have some slight concerns about 311 and St Albans got their own schools in Bloom and struggle to attract entries from Harpenden, but it may be because we're in Harpenden, not in St Albans. But I see they're keen to work in partnership to promote the event and encourage entries from local schools. However, it's not clear to me, and I have a certain concern, for instance, say, Tallest Sunflower, are they saying, well, are they going to have a separate Harpenden category, or are they going to compete with people in St Albans? Because I wouldn't be happy seeing it that Harpenden entrants may, you might find they never win or something. I'm not keen on having a competition when it's Harpenden and St Albans rather than a Harpenden competition that Harpenden schools can win. I don't know what your view is, Dan, on that.
I think that actually, I'm all for working in partnership with children where possible, but I think really a lot of things with Harpenden and Bloom, it's a competition that people in Harpenden are used to, have been used to for getting on for 30 years.
And see it very much as part of the town.
Yeah, I think possibly it's something where we should stick to where we are, because the other thing is that if you spread it across the district, you then have to spread the judging across.
Yes, that's exactly.
As well.
And I just see it sort of, you end up the Harpenden identity just being subsumed into the wider thing. So I'm frankly not over keen, unless they're going to say they're going to have a Harpenden category to ensure that you have Harpenden. But that seems a bit silly, because otherwise you could have it, couldn't you? Surely sunflower. You could potentially end up with this, that you could end up a year where you have no winners from Harpenden, which I would be exceptionally unhappy about.
They might grow a tall sunflower.
But you could potentially, if you subsumed all the school competitions into it, you could potentially end up.
You will note the last sentence in that a review of this competition will be taken
on the future years.
In the future years. So, depending on how successful this year's competition is.
Yeah, well, I know that anyway. But I'm just saying that looking to review it, and I know this whole area is being reviewed. I'm just flagging up to have concerns about it.
And I'll make a note of that in a minute.
Can I just add, I agree on those points actually, but I wonder if, actually I know obviously it sounds really great that if a Harpenden child perhaps wins the district tallest sunflower competition, but does it necessarily have to be separate? I don't see why we can't still have Harpenden and Bloom competition, but put forward those entries into the district one as well.
Yes, if they're
that would work.
If they're willing to accept
yes, if they're willing to accept that. I meant this as sort of saying ours would be subsumed into one pan-district competition. Yeah. But I'd be quite happy if we could have our own as well. I think absolutely.
I agree. I don't think we should take it away from Harpenden and Bloom.
No.
I'll check what the timescales are on their competition, and I'll put forward that suggestion.
Yes, but I think we don't want to submit. We're not
going
to be part of it at all.
I noticed on the forward planner, so that's page 11, the agenda items for today was to options for refreshing our approach to Harpenden and Bloom. I don't feel that it's so refreshing, what I've read. So basically, there were too many meetings, let's stop that and back to the basics. I'd just like to point out there were quite a lot of meetings last year, but this was, quite unprecedented. We had major issues with health and safety, the load testing, etc., all the baskets in town, all sorts of issues that had to be ironed out about using highways, lampposts, etc., etc. So it does look quite.
Are those one-off items?
Yes.
That were looked at.
Pretty much.
Pretty
much. They could come.
They could come back, but they just. It just so happened, and I mean I wasn't on it. You know the history of this. I wasn't actually on it then, but my understanding is there was just a whole load of issues that sort of all came together.
Yeah, and
that needed to be sorted.
And yes, you could have just said, okay, we'll have to leave this. If we don't have any extraordinary meetings, we'll have to leave this to the mayor and the clerk to take their own decision about. But obviously, it was felt necessary to come back to the committee, so it wasn't a case of they were just timing was out and all the meetings were held at the wrong time for planting and therefore we had to have another. They were quite obviously urgent, important issues that had to be discussed. And I feel with the way that the report's been written does kind of suggest that it was sort of almost bad management that we had meetings out of the calendar. So what I don't really get from this report is how it's refreshing our approach to Harpenden and Bloom. And I wondered if there was something more that perhaps is going to happen. Maybe look at ways of how to encourage more volunteers or something. I don't know if there should have been more to this than just actually cut back the meeting. I don't know if you've got any thoughts.
Well, in terms of, I suppose that's probably how it's been approached, but the thing I was getting at was these various items that you mentioned. If they were largely one-off items, you do it once and that's it. So this year, presumably there'll be less meetings, less time. If that's the case, then that strengthens the case of keeping the competition here, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I wasn't really talking in respect to the competition, I was talking in
Just
respect
generally.
Well, that's,
of how are we refreshing our approach to Harpenden in Bloom. I think we have got a bit of a problem that there's less people wanting to help on planting days.
I think, and I've raised this, and I think this is sort of just looking into it now. My understanding is that probably there will be a need to do a much more in-depth look, because I've raised, there is an issue with several of the volunteers currently engaged in. I'm not getting any younger, so we may need to, I think, we'll need to be able to
new ideas
yes.
are needed,
and I think it will need to be looked at.
Is it necessarily just the working party itself that decides on the planting scheme? Can that be put out to, I'm just throwing it out there, we're looking for ways to refresh it. I don't think that just by saying, okay, let's stick to a meeting is in any way refreshing our approach.
May I? I think you're quite right. That last year was an exceptional year with the issues that were affected, and I think that has skewed the way that Harpenden in Bloom has been serviced by officers. And I think we put it on as the action on forward planner as a refresh, but when it actually came to it, if we stuck to the schedule of meetings as per the terms of reference, actually, and the competitions as laid out, here in the report, it's actually reasonably manageable within the capacity that we have downstairs. But as you say, if you've got some suggestions, as you said, like Councillor Farmer said about we could do with some new volunteers, perhaps if we could have a different sort of new suggestions on planting schemes. I think they're all good ideas that could be carried forward to future meetings.
Because it could almost be a competition in itself, isn't it? To want to design for next year's planting. But I was just obviously picking up the way it was worded that it was refreshing the approach.
And I think there does need to be, and I think it was intentional. It's my understanding is that there does need to be at some point there needs to be a more in-depth look at how we take it forward, and the committee or the working party forward.
Yes, so I'm not the subject is Harpenden and Bloom review of the project, so that's probably a better word, isn't it, rather than refresh.
Yes.
So, okay, so what do we want to do this? Do we want to pull this one, or just note it and suggest a more detailed?
I just noted and
note in the meeting schedule.
Note, yeah.
Okay. So we can do 2.1.1 for the noting.
Yeah, and 2.1.2.
Okay.
If you're in agreement with the photography.
But take on the points about refreshing.
Yes, but we need more detail. There should be a more detailed look, including the issue of
greater refreshment.
Yes.
Okay.
I understand that the clerk is doing phase 2 review, staff review, so it could be fed through them as well.
Yes, because I think that will come into it.
Yes. Okay, so if we could do that noting with the points that have been raised to be referred. Okay, thank you very much. Is that it?
Yes.
Actually, so if I just make one point.
Yes, go on.
It's got the end that 5.1. The project supports the council's pollinator strategy. Unfortunately, it wasn't actually that successful, was it, last year? Some of the...
we did make the point, some of us made the point.
Although we put it supports the strategy.
I think what we said is we support the pollinator strategy, which has to work side by side with the remit to make it how it be supported. Have to find the right plants that can come within it, but not.
So it's kind of like we support it in theory, but...
that's interesting, because I understood that last year's planting scheme was...
Not the dahlias.
No, they're not good.
No, they were not very, very
well, I know that they were disappointing, but I thought...
And they were ones specifically for...
You really don't want to do dahlias, I don't know.
And the Venus as well, which are really good for insects. They do that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not to say the other plants won't be really, really appreciated by the wildlife.
Yes, they probably, we hope they will be.
Okay. All right, no exempt business.
Okay.
So I think therefore we can close the meeting.
Thank you.
22. Okay.